Okay, welcome back to Fast Hit Performance then. My name is Tim Davies, and as you can see, we are back in the attack shack, dropping truth bombs on your personal battlefields, helping you to win the wars you are fighting. And someone who's had a bit of a fight with a wall today is a pilot called Hayden Pullen. Okay then guys, this is the incident report, but we're not going to deep dive into that. What we're going to do straight away is look at the actual film itself. We'll cover that and then we'll come back, have a look at this, have a look at who the pilot is, maybe look at the airplane, and then we'll take down this film in minute detail and see if we can work out what exactly happened. Right, I'm going to start a tape from here, guys. I'm going to drop out. We've cut the beginning out and the end out, and then I'll just basically play this bit, and then when we go back and review it, we'll review the whole tape from start to finish.
Pullen, who is the pilot delivering the Peter Brock Trophy. It's made the journey from Penrite Racing to Sandown up to Queensland, and now it has landed back here in its spiritual home of Bathurst. Our pilot Hayden has been flying for 25 years. The plane is extra purpose-built aerobatic aircraft with a custom performance engine, making it the fastest plane of its type in Australia and possibly the world. So that's pretty fitting, isn't it, to deliver the Peter Brock Trophy here on the mountain today, and it's going to make its way over to us in just a moment.
Afternoon. You walk down the main street of Sydney on Monday and everyone knows what you achieved. It's one of those races that captures the entire sporting nation. You don't have to be an avid supercars fan to know and understand Bathurst.
And he will bring it over now.
He is very unflappable, so I'm sure he'll have a great first stint. I'll jump in as soon as at the first stop.
Good luck. And now we want to pay tribute to the man who has inspired the Peter Brock Trophy and his incredible legacy here at Mount Panorama.
Okay, there's a lot wrong with that, guys. Let's go through it. Then it's an extra, it says extra 300 here. I believe it was an extra 330 that he was actually flying. We'll get into that in a minute. Here's the registration on there. Year of manufacture was 2010. These aircraft are about $500,000 each. They're not cheap, plus or minus 10 G's. He was the only person in the aircraft here, and as it says here, whilst landing at the Bathurst 1000 circuit, particular aircraft landed on the grass next to the mountain straight, which we just saw, rolled onto the tarmac, and under heavy braking ran the left wheel back onto the grass. The difference in grip levels between the grass and the sealed tarmac caused the aircraft to veer hard right towards the concrete wall on the other side of the mountain straight. The pilot immediately applied hard lead rudder, and the aircraft failed to respond until the right wheel left the tarmac onto the grass, with the difference in grip causing the aircraft to spin hard to the left, with the right horizontal stabiliser hitting the concrete wall, resulting in damage to the stabiliser and elevator on that side of the aircraft. It says here the pilot checked control function from within the cockpit by circling the controls. No clear evidence of this, and I couldn't see any either, guys. However, did not perform an external walk around prior to departure. This is gash as hell. If this had been one of my pilots on the squadron, I would have stopped this guy flying. Now, we're just talking about some re-education. This should never happen. This is not a military pilot, it's a civilian pilot. Let's have a look at who it is real quick. The guy's name is Hayden Pullen then. He was a race car driver. He's 55 years old, so about 5 years older than me. Yeah, I'm sure he's great. He does a lot of displays, by the way. Probably not any more, to be fair. Lap records, as I said, race car driver. He's very much into this. There's the dude there. Okay, we're not trying to hit the individual. We're trying to learn lessons from this. That's the main thing, guys, all right? I'm sure he's a lovely bloke. Also, we have to remember, he may not have known he'd hit the wall. I think he probably did, but he may have felt that the wheel had got caught on the grass or something. We don't know. Either way, let's just have a look at it. Interestingly about this aircraft, it had been written off before and repaired. So this particular aircraft there is this particular aircraft here, which it says, look, 330 LT there, and it says that it was landing at, is that Helgoland Airport in Germany? It's the island off the North German coast, and it crashed there and sustained substantial damage. There was a 77-year-old pilot who was slightly injured, and it took 2 years to rebuild. That was back in 2019. It was rebuilt back in 2021 as that aircraft now that we've just seen being damaged on the wall of the Bathurst racetrack. So this is the extra 330 LT. I don't know much about these kind of airplanes, but I'm more of a jet guy myself. I probably will refer to this as jets throughout, guys. You know how it is. It's a pretty sporty aircraft, twin cockpit then, doesn't have flaps. That's an important thing we've got to look at later. Really high performance, pretty expensive. One of the things I want to bring to your attention there is the fact it's got two cockpits. You can see there, front and rear. That will come into our narrative in a second. As I said, no flaps then. A very clean wing on this one as well. Hard to slow down apparently from the guys I've spoken to. Obviously tail dragger, lots of stats, lots of costs. If you want to go and buy one, we probably all should. Add it to the Tim needs an extra 330 LT fund. Okay, so what do we think happened then? What I'm going to do is just turn the volume right down here, guys. They'll be chatting in the background. Hopefully I'll be able to chat over them. And what I'm going to do here is minimise myself to a small little circle. And then I'm just going to pause the tape as we go through. I'm just going to throw my little tuppence into the hat. Before I even start, one of the things that I'm really interested in is something called the environmentals. What's the weather doing? What's the wind doing? All right. What's my stopping aids here? I haven't got any barriers. It's not an airfield. Do I have fire services? And I obviously do. It's a racetrack. But do they know much about aircraft? Do they know how to get me out of an airplane if I crash? I'm sure all of that has been looked at. But there are some real fundamental points here that I'm interested in where I think basically the planning hasn't been done. Principally, the man hasn't thought to himself, if I do have an incident here, where can I put the aircraft if I need to leave it here? What can I do? Can I put it in a hangar? Can I put a tarpaulin over it? I don't think that's been thought out. And that probably added to the pressure of that when he did dig the back end of the jet, he's going to get airborne again because he hasn't got a plan about how to not get airborne or how to stay.
And yet here we were on race day and we got to the rostrum.
So there's the jet then coming in.
There are so many stories over those years. Obviously the first.
Now look how he's crabbing in. It'll become more apparent in a minute. No flap. And with no flap, what that means is the nose attitude is quite high. So he's probably crabbing in lots of yaw on this thing here so that you can see out the cockpit because you can't see over that huge nose of the airplane. With flap, centre of pressure moves, and what happens is the nose drops. So when you have flap, like in your big holiday jet and everything, it allows the pilots to see the runway. Without flap, you have this really high alpha approach. It makes it very difficult to see where you're going.
In for Stone Brothers Racing.
Right, let's have a look. First time we can see where he's landing then. That's narrow as a mother hubbard, isn't it? You know what I mean? Wouldn't want to land on that thing. Obviously, he's going to be coming over here as well. And I'll place some arrows and things in here so we can see. But you've got a stand down there with some people in it. He's going to land over the top of that. And what I'm thinking here is wind. I'm thinking wind disturbance. There's a lot of activity here as well. Let's see if we can work out exactly what the wind is doing, because I think this man's carrying a tailwind into what is essentially quite a short strip.
And then to back it up the next year. And I was lucky enough to have an incredible...
So you can see there the aircraft has moved across the screen, and I'm wondering whether he's got wind from the left. I believe it's a tailwind.
Incredible run over the first
keep
10
watching
years
him.
of
Keep
my
watching.
career here.
Look at that helicopter. Let's go back a little bit here. Helicopters tend to land into wind, and that helicopter is facing away from him at the moment, which would mean the wind would be coming towards him as he's landing, but I don't think that's the case.
10 years of my career here at
Look at those flags there. Those flags, these are obviously promotional banners. They're meaning the wind is going away from him, so it's up his tail. Now he's landing without flaps, so he's obviously not the slowest he possibly could be because he hasn't got any flaps to land with. It's quite a high approach speed, probably I think 65 knots is the stall speed of the aircraft, so he's probably 1.3 on that. Probably coming in around about the mid-80s, something like that. Correct me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong in the comments, guys. So coming in there, it looks like he's carrying a bit of a tailwind in there, which means the landing is going to be quite fast.
Mount Panorama, so very lucky.
Over people, look at this. You can't see too well anyway. He's looking out the side of the airplane as he's coming. I'm looking out the side of the airplane, crabbing myself in with a bit of a tailwind possibly. It's got to be quite precise with a touchdown. This is a big ask. This isn't an easy thing to do. I'm not, yeah, okay, let's just say that, shall we?
The Bathurst Trophy incoming now, as you can see, on board with Hayden Pullen, who is the pilot.
Look at this side. Now, we've got no wind indication here at all, but he is really crabbing that thing in. I think he's supposed to be landing on the tarmac.
Delivering the Peter Brock Trophy. It's made the journey from Penrite Racing.
I don't think he's supposed to be landing on the grass there. I think he's straightened the jet out, expecting it to be pushed more onto the tarmac, and it hasn't. He can't see anything at this point. He's looking out to the left and right. Look, he can't see over that nose.
To Sandown.
Look how close he is to the camera.
Up to Queensland.
Yeah, completely on the grass now. Limited braking, low braking coefficients on the grass. He really wants to be on the tarmac, and I think that's probably where he's going to steer himself now.
And now it has landed back.
Right, you can see him drifting back onto the tarmac. He's like, I'm on the grass. This isn't good.
Here in its spiritual home.
Now, if you push the nose forward on one of these airplanes, the movement of the tail up and down, and I don't fly these things, of course, but lowering the tail, you get this right wing tendency apparently, and when you lift the tail up, you get this left tendency. So of course he's up and down with the tail. That is going to move gyroscopically. That's going to create different forces on the aircraft.
Of Bathurst, our pilot Hayden.
Now he's on the tarmac and he can start his braking.
Has been flying for 25.
Tail comes down, and you will see him bringing that stick back to really try and keep that tail as well. That really helps that tail come down. Brakes on, obviously on the main wheels only. Now look at the left wheel.
The plane is extra.
Left wheel was just touching the grass there, wasn't it? So now we've got a heavier braking on the right wheel. Let's have a look at that again. Tarmac, tarmac, brake, 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 tarmac, 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 not tarmac, grass. So now we're going to get a grippier surface on the right. It turns it to the right. Look at the rudder. Watch what happens to the rudder. Aircraft's rotating to the right. Full left rudder going in now.
Extra.
There's full left rudder there. So he realises the aircraft is yawing towards that wall. Full left rudder comes in. I'm assuming he's got left brake on there as well now, which is going to make that left wheel a lot more effective.
Purpose-built aerobatic.
That looks like it's heading directly for the wall there, doesn't it? Full left rudder.
Aircraft.
And you can see the elevator is up. So he's keeping that tail wheel down as well now.
With a custom performance.
We think that's going to ground loop at this point. It's going to spin its way around, isn't it? There. And look how close that wing is to the wall. I wonder whether the actual edge piece there has actually hit the wall at all. And you can see now,
engine making
bang.
it the fastest plane.
That's it there. This is what I don't understand. You must have, if you just watch this again, you must have realised you've hit a wall there.
Purpose-built aerobatic aircraft with a custom performance engine, making it.
I think you realise you've hit a wall.
In Australia and possibly the world. So that's.
And now he drives back up here. Remember, he can't see much here. He's looking left and right the whole way up. Driving up. Now you can see him wiggling the controls there.
Hand it off to you, and you'll take it up on its journey over the mountain to hand it off, as I said, to the
wiggling the rudder. We see you can see the damage here on the right-hand side there. He's compressed the stabiliser in. I wouldn't be surprised if he's damaged the elevator a little bit on there as well. No real damage to the wing, it looks like, but you can't tell here, can you?
Garth, tell me, how does becoming a Bathurst champion change your life?
I don't see
it. It does. It changes your life.
Moving the controls
around. You can have success at any other race throughout the year and walk down the main street of whatever city that is, and no one will know what you achieved the day before. You win Bathurst on Sunday afternoon, you walk down the main street of Sydney on Monday, and everyone knows what you achieved. It's one of those races that captures the entire sport.
This bit's interesting to me. So he's parked up. Someone's going to go and get the trophy from the front seat. That person is, as it says here, someone involved in the race. He's not an aviation specialist as such.
Sporting nation. You don't have to be an avid supercars fan to know and understand Bathurst, and that's what makes it so special.
We've got.
Now, I'm assuming that trophy is strapped into the front seat with those straps we saw earlier. I'm just a bit worried that I've got someone in the front seat now where there is a control column and there is a throttle, and he's playing with the straps to bring a trophy out. Does he know how to put those straps back into an order that's not going to foul my controls?
Our representative from Repco, Gary Reid, who has jumped on board now to grab out the
He's a representative.
trophy, and he will bring it over now.
Nice sunglasses, mate.
You, Stephen Richards. I know it's always a special moment to get that trophy back.
So there's an opportunity now for the pilot to have shut down there, jumped out, done a walk around, just stood by the airplane, nodded a bit, have a walk around and gone, yeah, I've whacked the tail on this thing, I better leave it here, you know what I mean?
Back in your hands, and there it is, making its way up the mountain. Garth, you and Matt Payne will start from.
This is press on ISIS, isn't it? This is press on ISIS. There's a race to happen. I better get my jet airborne. So now he should be facing a bit of a headwind. Go back here a second. Have a look at this. Let's go back a little bit there. Do you notice that? Do you have a look? When this guy's walking down here, have a look at this.
Garth, you and Matt Payne will start from position 7 on.
Look at those flags out there, right? Those flags left to right then. So yeah, he landed with a massive tailwind, and that's a big tail. Look, those flags are heavy flags and they're horizontal. So this tailwind was significant. He's going to be landing faster than he expected. Of course, he's standing on the brakes. Well, there you are. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
On the grid for the big race this afternoon.
Look at those. They're all completely horizontal there, aren't they? Jeez. Hell of a tailwind to land with that.
Afternoon, what's going to be the difference between winning and losing today?
Keeping it clean in the first part of the race. Starting from 7th, we need to get
Taxis
through
up.
the first lap cleanly. Try and make up some.
Have a look at the rudder.
Possible.
Don't see him doing the controls, but it is difficult for us to see.
Earlier. So, Matty's very, very calm. He is very unflappable, so I'm sure he'll have a great first stint. I'll jump in as soon as at the first stop and roll the sleeves up and go to work.
Well, we are wishing you all
This
the
is
very
gash as
best,
hell here, guys.
across
Gash
the
as hell. Look at the people in that stand there. Look at the people. He's about to point this jet towards these people. A damaged airplane, elevator issues, pointing towards, that could be your family in there. To be fair, guys, this is why I never used to go to Red Arrows display. The Red Arrows, most dangerous aerobatic display team in the world at the moment. Well, I don't know about now, but they were for about a decade. They haven't had any incidents recently, I don't think, but this is why I refuse to go and watch them.
Kilometres this afternoon. Good luck. And now we want to pay tribute to the man who...
He's into a headwind here, which is great. We have to take off into headwinds to increase the lift on the wing and everything else, reduce the takeoff roll. I think he's short on the takeoff roll here. I think he hits the tail wheel on rotation. Let's have a look. Right there. I think that tail wheel is impacting the ground.
The Peter Brock Trophy.
Yeah, I do. And that's why you get that slight nose down. Bounces it off the tail wheel. So bounce it off the tail wheel, and the nose. Well, let's watch that again. Bounce it off the tail wheel, the nose comes down again. He's rotated a bit early there.
The Peter Brock Trophy.
Yeah, so nose dropped slightly. Now he's going up, max performance. So here's the thing. Now he climbs out above the crowd. Everyone's happy. What a hero that guy is. The damage that could be done to that tailplane, fractures, all that kind of stuff, we don't know. That's why it has to be inspected. You don't know whether it's going to separate. When you put airflow over an airfoil section, you increase lift on it, of course. Lift it, and there's pressure. That's the whole point. The pressure could fracture it, could rupture it. We just don't know. It's absolutely one of the most cavalier things I've ever seen a pilot do. Knowing there's damage to the aircraft and then get airborne again. Also, here's the thing. What if you have an engine failure at this point here? Engine stops there, explodes. Piston leaves the top of the coaming and everything else. Can you stop in that distance? Can you stop in that distance? Has anyone measured this distance? Does he know that distance? Has he got any stopping aids? There's no stopping. There's no brake parachute on that aeroplane. There's no barrier there. He could put that airplane straight into the crowd at high speed. Where's your engine failure after takeoff field? How do you turn? I mean, I don't even know. This is ridiculous. Where do they authorise this? Well, I've seen some weird stuff in my times, guys. I've seen some weird stuff in my times. Look, hit the comments, let me know. I don't know what to say about it, other than one of the most gash things I've ever seen someone do. The report's obviously being done now. I guess we'll know the answers soon when they look into it. But to be fair, I mean, I've made mistakes myself in the past. You know how it is. But the key is just don't press things, all right? And the reason that we press things is we don't have a plan for when things go wrong. Always have a plan. If that was me, the first thing I would have done here, not like fly light aircraft, but if I'm on a landaway, my approach here, I'm sorry, I'm flying directly over a stadium of people, this red area there. I'm flying directly over them to land on this straight. There's no deviation, a tyre blown on landing. I'm left or right into a wall, so there's no runoff there at all. There's no stopping aids. Where's the fire crews? I see no fire crews on the grass there at all. There's no firemen standing there. I could burn to death on my airplane if I get this wrong. With a tailwind, are you mental? And I've got no flaps, so I'm high speed, no flaps. Look at the tree there. I mean, even with the wind, we're going to get rotors and eddies coming off the back of this. If it is a tailwind coming down here, rotors and eddies coming off the back of this red stand there. The whole thing to me is pretty wild. You can see he's kind of getting blown there a little bit off center. I mean, he's tracking himself in. Yeah, to me, okay, I'm just calling it out, guys. By all means, hit the comment if you think I'm wrong. That's what's great about this channel. I could well be wrong. Tim Davies, Fast Jet Performance.